You're listening to Mating Habits of the Modern Geek, advice on love and dating within your own species. Are you having trouble finding that perfect geeky match? Do you need dating tips or relationship advice? If the answer is yes, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Kelly Hightower, and in this podcast, we'll discuss the issues, answer your questions, and give you the skills you need to help you become better at dating. Hello, and welcome to episode 115 of Mating Habits of the Modern Geek. I'm your host, Kelly Hightower, and joining me via video Zoom feed is Paris. What's up, Paris?
Hey, I'm reporting live naked from the Fortress of Solitude. It's really cold.
Yes, I know. Maybe you picked the wrong place to be nude.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one who gave me the instructions. I just followed them, Kelly.
This is great for the Patreon. Come on the show with your tits out. It'll be awesome. We'll set the women's movement back decades, or
I'll
not.
do
Just own
for $1. Like,
yeah. No, you're right. We got to make that money, honey. No, I do. I love your background. I'll admit my background is of my my house because my computer can't handle running a background. My webcam is taking up so much of my computer's engine right now. I don't know how computers work. It's taking up so much of my computer's engine right now that like I tried to do a background filter yesterday and it was just like wah. Like the computer was like relax.
well, like you could do Lawyer Cat. You could just like put up a face filter.
Oh, I love Lawyer Cat. So many people sent that to me yesterday. You were the first, but so many people sent that to me and they were like, is this what it's like? And yes, that's exactly 100% what it's like. You have, and if people don't know this, they need to go look and go watch the Lawyer Cat vid. But the fact that there's this judge who clearly understands that the filter's on. The judge is like, hey, you got a filter on, we'll wait. And the attorney is so scrambling and so trying to please this judge when like the judge has got you, buddy. The judge isn't mad. Like the judge is pleasantly amused and he's like, I'm ready to proceed. I can still proceed. He's like this little kitten going, I can still proceed. I am not a cat. Like, welcome to the justice system. This is my life every day. I'm just like kowtowing attorneys trying to not piss off a judge, and judges like, hey man, it's cool. Everybody relax.
Oh man, it was beautiful. It was just chef's kiss. Like, oh, it's so great.
Kitten's eyes would like dart to the side. Like,
oh, that was like the default look of the cat was just like sad and concerned, and
right.
like you could hear that in the voice also of the lawyer. Oh my god.
And of course, as always, the only people who know how to do anything in an office are the ladies. And so this like lady is like running in, like messing up the filter effect, trying to fix it. This is great. I will say it's funny, and I do a lot of cases where we video in with people who are hospitalized because they're insane, they're criminally insane, and they have hearings every now and then for different things, and they seem to be able to get with the technology fine. Certifiably crazy people who have hacked up their children can log into Zoom and get it done. Meanwhile, attorneys are like, "Hello, can anyone hear me? Can you see me too?" Like, oh God, like we're gonna be here all day. Oh gosh. Well, so this episode, I find it funny. It's entitled "Putting in the Work, Relationship and Ain't Easy," and you put in all the work for this episode. So I thank you.
That's what I do in all my relationships. So
I crept up to the shared show notes last night, and I'm like, oh, I gotta put some links. I gotta figure it out. And I look, and it's already done for me. And I'm like, oh, I need to marry Geneva. Oh, I said your name. Crap.
It's fine. I'm Geneva. Nobody knows my last name.
It's true. Or who your husband is, which is so funny to me.
I know that he just talks really quietly. So
he's soft-spoken.
So soft-spoken.
According to Will. But no, so that's the title of the episode, and we're going to be talking about different things that can make relationships difficult. And you shared with me something that I found very interesting. It's another podcast. It's like only 20 minutes, so I'm going to link that in the show notes. But I don't know, I felt a little attacked by it because I'm like, I'm all of these type of people. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about that too, and that's something that I'm going to suggest everyone go and listen to. And it ties in really well with what we've been talking about, and it also ties in well with the Roger 7-date thing, which
Mhm.
now I've got a third party who's come in who wants to like option it as a book and wants to get involved in like planning of it and stuff. And so I'll tell you about that offline. It's fun. It's hysterical. He has just caused a stir with these 7 dates.
I think it tickles like that part of the brain that is either like, oh wow, I hate this, or like, oh wow, this is genius. Like it's just right on that line of like insanity but genius. Like I don't know.
Look, you can hate things that are genius. It's fine. That's where I'm at.
Um
Because I'm like, I hate this. It's a
I
good
hate
idea, but I
Elon
hate
Musk, so
it. Right, exactly. So, I want to do some Patreon update. Well, before I do that, because we talked about this before the show started, look at my cute nails. It's Valentine's Day. When this goes out, you'll have had either a happy or sad Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
And I got little kitties with little hearts
I
on my
love
nails.
them. Oh my
I gave myself a
god.
little manicure about 20 minutes ago with these little press-on nails and or press-on stickers. And so, and I'm wearing my festive. I bought this last year because I thought I was going to have a Valentine's date, and I did have a Valentine's date, but we decided to not go out to eat on Valentine's Day because that's cliche and the restaurants are all full. And so we made a reservation for March 14th to the Angus Barn, and the whole world shut down. So
Yep,
thanks a lot, COVID. Now I just have to wear this on a show.
it's
Um,
okay.
so I hope everybody had a reasonable Valentine's Day. I'm going to do some Patreon updates. I just released the second episode of What Does Kelly Think About WandaVision? And that also is going out as a podcast in the podcast feed. So that's going to be free. The video is behind the Patreon paywall, and we've got mini episodes. This episode, the video of this one's going to be on the Patreon feed. So if you are a Patreon member, you'll get to see us and see all these things we're talking about. What else? I don't know. I know you watched the first What Does Kelly Think About WandaVision? Could you tell how
Mhm.
uncomfortable I am giving a movie review? Like
You're always I love that you like started off very like much like a woman. Like you don't have to listen to
yeah.
this. You can just skip ahead. Like just don't like meanwhile like any other dude would be like these are my opinions and this is my dick. Meanwhile you're like just you can just skip through. Like it's okay. I don't want to like
Yeah.
your feelings are fine. Everyone's valid. This is a safe space.
I've already hurt so many people's feelings about my opinion about WandaVision. Like
It's so funny.
I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings. But also too, I mean, I'm serious. How many times do I ask you like, do I call you up and go, how do you like this TV show? I will generally go, what shows are you watching? And you'll be like, these are my shows I'm watching. And I'll go, I'll check out some of them and I'll watch it. And if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I don't come back to you with it and go, why did you tell me this was good? Or like any of that. Because who cares what anybody else thinks about a show? It's already been made. Like, it's not like I'm stopping it from getting made. And also too, now I like WandaVision. Now it's good. So take that, opinion people. Speaking of which, hot off the presses, did you hear that they fired what's her face?
Yes, I was wondering if you were gonna talk about that.
Yeah. So of course I found her incredibly problematic. And I love one of her movies she did was called like Haywire, or it was something like that, where she's like a spy.
What's her name?
Her name
Harrison?
is Gina Carrero,
Carrero. Okay.
and she plays Cara Dune
Mhm.
on The Mandalorian. And she's old, muscly, and I like the way she looks. And I liked her in that movie with Ewan McGregor and Michael Fassbender, where she's kicking butt and taking names, and she's like a assassin spy person. But yeah, like she cray, like she QAnon Kool-Aid drinking cray. And I think it's probably a bad idea to come out and be anti-Semitic on Twitter and deny the Holocaust or compare the Holocaust to like mask wearing and stuff.
Mhm.
If you work for Disney,
Yeah.
like, I mean, just don't be stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she's gone, and they were going to give her a spinoff show.
I saw that. I read an NPR article right before we started recording, and I did not know that they were going to give her a spinoff. But yeah, they've just bye.
Girl, you'd have thrown away that Disney money. What a fool! You could have written these opinions in a journal and put it under your pillow, and nobody would have cared.
And I saw this, of course, on Facebook, and so I always like look at the responses because
Hmm.
like I hate myself. And so this old lady, like she had old lady avatar, so it could be a Russian, I'm not sure.
Right.
Like some old lady, like old white lady, was like, "Well, Disney, like Lucasfilms, you are in luck because I'm available and I've been working out."
Rock on, old lady. Put her in there, man. Recast the role. Like the character's still good.
Mm,
We just gotta be. There got to be more muscly ladies that aren't problematic.
exactly.
I mean, come on. Also, too, I don't know it. It's like that Bill Maher sketch. I don't know that it's true. I just know that it's true.
Mhm.
Or no, I don't have any proof. I just know that's true. I think she was on the roids here at the end. She's getting
Mm.
that roid jaw.
She was it was looking a little bit unnatural.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
And I mean, it's your body. Do what you want to with it, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Steroids are illegal. You're on a kid's show. I don't know. I don't know. It's that's just an opinion. But it's one that I have. So
Your
maybe that.
your opinions are valid.
Thank
They're
you.
welcome here.
Thank
No
you.
one's gonna hurt you. No one's gonna come for you.
What about my side part? Is that valid here? I cannot stop talking. These Gen Zers keep coming for the side part.
Oh man. You know what? Gen Z could just come up off my ass. Like I'm tired. Like I don't feel like I ever attacked other generations,
Right.
but I feel so attacked by Gen Z all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good thing is, as Gen Xer, I'm just happy someone's talking to me at all. Like Gen Xers just got nothing because millennials called all the heat for getting trophies and stuff. Gen X got no heat. And so now, like, the Gen Zers are coming for us. I mean, hey, man, your dad likes my side part.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you want from me? I'll come be your fucking stepmom. Don't mess with me.
What a flex.
Dad likes it. Your granddad likes it. Don't even get me started on how like the people I hang out with work talk about where their grandchildren are graduating from high school, and I'm like, how old am I? I have grandchildren. Not graduated from high school, but I could definitely have grandchildren.
Yes. I think like the math would technically work.
Yes, like oh god, I could be a grandmama. I'd be a good grandma.
You would.
Anyway, I don't even know why we got off on that tangent, but join the Patreon. It's at patreon.com/mating habits. What are your haps and recaps? We haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. Well, I don't know if I had a last time I was on mating habits, but I had a second child. So now there are more children.
Dos children.
Just a lot of children.
Dos
Uh,
niños or
so
niñas.
yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know Spanish. We don't.
Don't know math, I don't know
I
Spanish.
wish I knew another language. No, I just got the uno language.
Agreed. We were cheated in our education system. We should have been taught Spanish.
Oh man, but so many regrets. No, so the watching has been limited.
Right.
Like I've got like dozens of like stupid little cartoons that I could talk to you about, but what I really want to talk about are these two things. One, I am rewatching all that is available on Disney Plus of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
And I'm doing it in timeline order
Oh
instead of
wow.
release order.
What an undertaking.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to take lots of breaks because I have to feed the baby and all
Right.
that stuff. Um, but Disney Plus makes it really easy to do that because they actually have a playlist set up with it all in timeline order. So like you
That's
start
so
at Winter
smart.
Soldier, you do Captain Marvel, like then you go Iron
So
Man.
smart.
Yeah, it's really cool. You really see how well they did on like crafting the story of the Tesseract and like how they really brought in all the Infinity Stones, like
Mm-hmm.
where they've peppered in through the timeline. However, there's one glaring issue going from Captain Marvel to Iron Man. So, when's the last time you watched the original Iron Man?
It's been a couple years.
Yeah, like I hadn't watched it since I've seen it in the theater, like
Okay, I'd
straight up.
watched it since then, but yeah, I haven't watched it in a couple years.
So the thing about the big like joke in Iron Man is Coulson is coming around and he says the whole acronym for SHIELD. Like he's, the
Mm-hmm.
strategic blah 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 blah. I don't have that memorized in my head
Shield
because
and
I
sword are
have
weird, but go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He just says it all out every time and everyone's like, "Wow, that's a mouthful." And finally at the end, He just calls it Shield.
Okay.
Like, we figured it out. It's called Shield, and that's like the big like the reveal for people who maybe couldn't figure out what the acronym was, whatever, you know.
Right.
But in Captain Marvel, they just call it Shield all the time. Like, they had not.
That's a big continuity error.
Right? I felt like it was. But
yeah, that I would have picked up on that. I mean, like, they've been calling it Shield the whole time.
yeah.
I mean, at least make some sort of like Samuel L. Jackson like saying, "I've been trying to get him to call it Shield, but it hasn't taken off," or something like
Something
like that.
like that. I wish they would, like, and then like you get Baby Coulson in you know, Baby Coulson and Captain and Nick Fury, baby Nick. Baby Fury.
Teeny little baby Fury.
Oh, teeny one. And I hadn't actually seen Captain Marvel when it came out. And basically when I decided to do this rewatch, I was like, okay, I have not seen Endgame. And
wait, what? You haven't seen Endgame?
Okay, I had children, and like I can't get out.
But...
anyway,
okay,
I knew
sorry.
how it ended. I know, right?
I didn't know that.
And I hadn't seen Ragnarok.
Okay.
All right, so I went and watched Ragnarok, and then I watched Endgame.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, that was good. This was like a couple months ago. I was like, all right, I've done it. Don't need to do it again. I got that nerd check. Let's go.
Right.
And then I started watching WandaVision. And I'm like, I could not for the life of me remember anything about Wanda or Vision. Like, it just was gone. I was like, I know the stones in his head.
Right.
I know Wanda had a twin.
Yeah.
I don't know what all this happened. So I'm like, okay, I don't remember anything. Let's start over. And I looked on Disney Plus and they had timeline order. And I think really once you watch it in timeline order, like, that's the only way to watch it. Like
I might know people do that.
I really do recommend.
Yeah.
And it's just so easy. Like, you and if you don't have Disney Plus, it's like free for a month or something if you have like Verizon, or there's all these different like partnerships that they have.
It's $7, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $6.99.
Yeah, like get it for a month, even if it isn't free.
Yeah.
And just watch everything.
Just watch everything.
Yeah.
It's been such a good time. I've realized I don't like the Thor movies as much as I did when they came out. They're just too high fantasy.
They're not as well written, in my opinion.
So, and the Iron Man stuff is just really like overly military, but that's like, I get that that's the thing that they're going for. Like, he used to make weapons,
right,
for the military, but it's just like, you can really get like the sense of the different flavors of what they did with the, you know, first movie, second movie in like a character's arc. Because you're like going back to back. There's just different, you know, and you kind of also get the flavor of the different directors and producers, because there was a lot of changing hands throughout the entire phases.
Yeah. So. No, after I watched WandaVision this past episode, I went and watched Civil War again. It's my favorite of all the MCUs. Civil War is my favorite. And I mean, and I think after that is Endgame. It's pretty close. But yeah, no, I didn't know they did that. That's now really intriguing to me.
Right? So I just finished Civil War as well. Because I actually kind of pushed through, because I listened to your second review of WandaVision and you said that you had watched Civil War and it was your favorite. And so I'm like, I need to like get to that point. So Black Panther is next timeline order.
Yes.
And then it'll be Doctor Strange. And then I can't remember after that. But
sweet Benedict Cumberbatch. That's the worst American accent ever. He just can't do it. But I love him. So he makes a fantastic Doctor Strange, but Lord have mercy. They need to get an Australian in there. The Australians seem to do really good American accents. He's too posh.
Yeah. So that's like been my main, like, what I'm currently doing now is like most of my eyes on a screen are towards watching some of the MCU stuff.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what else you got?
All right. So that's currently like, that's like the zeitgeist, but like removed by 2 years. So like, but like I'm in
catch up zeitgeist.
I am in with the Haps. Like, I did watch Bridgerton.
Good.
Shondaland, like, it's her first like Netflix production. It was really excited. I never watched Grey's Anatomy, but like I've respected this like director, executive producer person,
Right.
based on some of her other work. And so I was really excited. It's a period piece. I mean, if you haven't watched it, like literally everyone has already watched it.
Yeah,
Um,
like it's like yeah, it's been on Netflix for like a month. I think it
mhm.
came out like did it come out? It was after Christmas.
It was after Christmas. It
Yeah,
was I think New Year's Day, maybe
maybe.
the 30th. Maybe it came out on the December
Yeah.
30th.
And is it like what is it like 10 episodes?
Yeah, it's something. It's 10 episodes. They're like 45 to 60 minutes long. I love that with Netflix you don't have to have the like direct like length. It's not like
Right.
prescribed. You
Right.
get leeway. So some of them are 45 minutes. Some of them are like a little bit longer.
Right.
Um, and I really enjoyed it. I like watched it all in one day because the smallest one was home on COVID protocol. She had a runny nose, and so we had to get the test and all that stuff.
Right.
Which is good. Ooh, hitting things. Okay. But I watched the whole thing, and while watching it, there's this scene. And I guess like it's like the most watched thing on Netflix, so I hesitate to like do an explanatory comma on this. But basically, the oldest lady, the oldest girl of this family, she's a woman, the oldest woman of the family, gets married.
Mhm.
And she doesn't know anything about sex because this is like, Victorian like
Yeah.
times. I don't actually know anything about history.
It's
So
Edwardian
like,
times, but that's
yeah,
fine. I'm a
whatever.
Pride and Prejudice girl, so it's Edwardian, but still it's close. It's right before Victorian.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like, people are in these like fancy dresses, like, knowing anything about your body, even like touching another another man's hand is like, whoo, whoa.
Right.
Hot stuff. You got to get married now because you're
Oh,
tainted.
he saw my bare ankle. I've been exposed.
I've been exposed. So anyway, because of shenanigans related to kissing and a failed duel and all of that stuff, they had to get hitched, the Duke
Mhm.
and I, the girl. And she doesn't know anything about sex, and he tells her he can't like have children, instead of that he won't have children.
Right.
Which is like a big plot point because once she starts having sex and liking it, and then talking to other married women, because now everyone who's married has had sex and they can talk about it, she like kind of pieces it together. And then like in this scene, rides him is on top, and so he can't pull out. He's been pulling out this whole
Right.
time,
Right. Because she doesn't know any better. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So she doesn't know that like these pulling out was the reason why they're not having kids.
Right.
And so she does that, and she's like, "Ha, I found you. Like you've been lying to me. You can have children. You just haven't." And so like they focus on that. And the internet lost their collective minds over this scene. And I don't know if it's because I read too much fan fiction that's dubious consent, dubcon,
Dubcon.
that it did not trigger to me. I wanted to kind of like discuss this with you, Kels.
Okay. I'm ready.
So what do you think of the scene? Like it was hot, like everything was hot. It did hit my brain a little bit like, ooh, that's icky, but like nothing more than that.
It's the sort of thing where it's that gray area. First of all, it's a woman doing it to a man.
Mm-hmm.
And so that always is for some reason, and I don't necessarily think it should be, that's always seems to be more acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
In movies back in the day, like the Parenthood or those sorts of things, like there were women putting holes in condoms with pins or like poking holes in their diaphragms to trick their husbands into getting pregnant. And so, and it was wrong then too.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a distinction. I think of course, it should be by definition considered not rape because they're having sex and he wants to have sex. But it still is something that is done without his consent.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that since there's no violence applied to it, and the act of actually having sex is desirable to both and agreed upon, that then it can almost kind of be in a like almost in like a white lie category. Like it's still a lie,
Mm-hmm.
but he's lied to her too. Like so there's a whole bunch of yes, it's wrong, but there's lots of things that are wrong in that show. People lie to
Mhm.
each other all the time. People are doing underhanded stuff. And just because sex is involved in this one, I don't necessarily think that people should be clutching their pearls as much as they are. I think you and I have talked about this. We're
Mhm.
as young women, we're our own worst enemy. We love to find things to then go scream about on the internet.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's such a big deal
Mhm.
in my in the idea of he's already trying to trick her because he's using her ignorance against her. She figures it out, and and it was a different time, and I think that that always has to be put into perspective. If this was happening now in today, like I'd be way more upset.
Mhm.
But back in Edwardian or Regency time, I mean, women couldn't own property, they couldn't vote, they couldn't make an earn a living. Her job is to get married and produce an heir. He's
Mhm.
denying her that. I mean, and through a trick, because he could definitely get her pregnant.
Mhm. And
So,
spoilers, he does. Like
right, because that's
they
how
work
babies are
through it.
made. I feel like, yeah, it's wrong and she shouldn't have done it.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know why we have to get all upset about it. It's a fictional character. This didn't happen, and it's not teaching young women to rape men. Like it's not exploited. It wasn't like we didn't see a scene where the guy was exploited. Like you get to see him in his panic and oh my god, and like
Mhm.
it's going to destroy my life, and like nobody got off on that fact, or not enough people were just like, oh, I can't wait for his trick to undo. Like that's not the way it was. Where a lot of rape scenes in movies and
Mhm.
television, or a lot of like dead hooker in an alley where you just see like dead bodies of women, or you see women screaming and yelling and in terror. Somebody's jerking off to that. And so
Mhm.
then that becomes a different discussion about, let's not show this, you can imply it, or let's show this in a different way, or tell the story in a different way. I don't know. I think people get upset about things that are really not that big of a deal.
I guess I just maybe it's a different internet that I follow, but what when Game of Thrones was hot up,
Mm-hmm.
coming around, well, that whole one old show. I don't
That
know
whole
if
Game
anyone
of
watched it.
Thrones,
That whole
right?
Game of Thrones thing.
Don't know if you saw it or not.
It only happened near the end. Did the internet lose their shit over some, rapey type stuff
Yeah,
slash rape that actually did happen?
yeah.
Um, but like near the beginning, like nobody, like I feel like nobody really like got up in arms and was like
Are you talking about
outside
the
of
Jamie and Cersei scene?
there's that one, and then also the Daenerys,
Oh, in the
right?
call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's just yeah, that was just straight up a straight up rape scene, and
Mm-hmm.
so was the mourning grieving rape scene. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing: when that came out, and people got upset about it. I go, you do remember in episode 1 when he pushed a little boy out of a tower to kill him?
Mm-hmm.
Get mad about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
you be mad consistently. It's this weird sort of thing where it's almost like we're trained to find certain things completely unacceptable, but we're okay with other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you should find all of it unacceptable, but understand you're watching a show
Yeah.
and relax.
I think it did offer a good retrospective on people discussing what consent is.
Sure.
Like if you're going to go into a sexual encounter with somebody, you should have like an agreed, I'm on birth control, or this is the thing we're using, you
Right.
know, these are the like, and then it's a conversation that kind of continues based on body language and yes, that feels good. Oh, please don't do that. Like,
Right.
you know, all of that. I think it did bring that up, but it was, man, the internet lost their fucking mind.
But the internet loses its mind about a bunch of stuff.
I know. I was just like, oh, I feel like, well, it was one of those things when you're watching it, you're like, I feel like this might start discourse. But then I didn't like realize that it would blossom into this like thing. Apparently, I was reading like in the book, it was much worse. Like he was drunk,
Oh.
one, and so like she like seduced him and tricks him into
Right.
the fucking.
Right.
And so that's rape. Like if
Sure.
you get somebody drunk and then have
But
sex with
also,
them,
I
that's
mean,
not
there's
rape.
rape in movies and TV. I mean, like it's
It's
part of the
true.
story. I don't know why people get so upset. One of my favorite TV characters or characters in literature of all time fucking eats people. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the devil. But I love to watch it. I love to watch shows with him. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we can't. The show, first of all, is rated R, Bridgerton,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much sex in it. So like
Mm-hmm.
children shouldn't be watching it. And if you're an adult who can't separate You know, I mean, the fact that there's a duel and people get killed and people are treated horribly and all these other lies are told. The fact that one thing gets focused on as if the show's not supposed to do that. Like you can start the conversation about, hey, let's talk about is this, you know, dubious consent or not.
Mhm.
But don't flame the show for it. Like don't get mad about it. Like that's not going to change anything. It's entertainment. It didn't really happen.
Right. Like, and so anyway, there were some people calling to cancel it, all that stuff, because
You
there's,
can't do that. I mean,
all
that's
these
all.
other books. So,
Yeah, no, and they won't do that. I mean,
mm-mm,
that's not enough to cancel something over. I mean, and I'm not really big into canceling people. I find it
mm,
funny that what's her face
mhm,
lost her job with Disney
same. Hmm.
because I just don't agree with her. So I'm like, ha. But if
Hmm.
that happened to me, I'd be mortified and completely upset. So I'd be like, this is unfair. But yeah, people get upset over too much.
True.
It's a
So
problem.
true. It's such a problem. I don't know. Maybe there'll be this wave will go by. Like, things kind of oscillate back and forth in like the grand scheme of, you know, the culture.
Right.
And so maybe we'll eventually go over this hump of I hate the term cancel culture,
I do
but
too.
like this like um just how that's being handled. I'm not digging it right now. And
Me
so
either.
maybe,
I think people overreact about a lot.
yeah.
Where it's like your feelings are valid, but just what do you want people to do about them? Like
And I hesitate.
it's okay for you to feel this way, but it's not everybody else's problem.
Yeah. I quite frankly, I hesitate to even bring this up, but like I've been thinking like, dang, like there's old, mating habit shows that I probably said stuff on that
Oh Lord.
like
Girl, don't even start. I've already been called out by people about like, well, you said this and this one. I'm like, don't listen to that. That was 2012.
yeah, it's a
100
different
years
time.
ago.
Yeah.
It's a different time. I was a different person. Yeah, Lord, please don't ever go back and look through the annals of the crap I have said on this show.
It's straight up same. Same.
Yeah, so I hope you don't. I hope you don't come for me because
Mm.
I got you. Will get these hands.
Oh
Um,
yeah. You're gonna get these video hands. Boop, boop.
get these video hands, these video kitty hands.
I love them kitties.
I'm so happy about
So
the kitties.
before we start on your haps, do you
Uh
think
huh.
anyone's still listening since we're two women and a man isn't here to
Yes,
okay.
yes, I do.
Like, because Kevin was like, well, what about my masculine presence? And I'm like, what?
Talk about DubCon. Don't bring your masculine presence here without warning me. Um, no, I do. We have a lot of female listeners
Good.
and a lot of
I
male
wish we
listeners who
were
want
on
to hear
the,
what we have to say.
well, sure. I don't care about them. I want the ladies. They're my people. They're my people. No, I'm joking. You guys are okay, I guess.
No, well, I know. Well, and this now since it by popular demand, I might have to have Roger on every other episode. I mean, it's convenient for me because that's where my
Mhm.
studio's set up. It's office. But
Roger's great. He gives you a good foil to work off of.
yeah,
I really love the episodes that you guys, I mean, outside of the ones where I'm on them, the
right.
ones with Roger on them are my second fave.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know he does too. And I had a almost 2 hour long phone conversation. I'll tell you about when we're done about someone who
Mhm.
just called just to tell me about how great the shows were. So it's like,
Aw,
well, this is great.
that's so nice.
So yeah, well, so my haps will be short.
Mhm.
One fun thing, I am going to start learning disc golf.
What?
I know we
What
have
is
a
disc golf?
disc golf is frisbee golf. It's just you throw in little different types of frisbees, little hard putters and wingers and I don't know. Look, where is it? On my table of things here. I even got this little card from Etsy that teaches me all the lingo,
Ooh.
which is hard to see through this camera, but it's got like all the different little like headwinds and stuff for like
What?
a little reference sheet because I don't know the rules. I've never played it before. It looks
That's so
fun.
cool.
We have a full like regulation size disc golf course at my little athletic park. So yeah, so it is the thing I like about it is it's outside. It's technically a sport. It's something that you can get better at, but you don't
Mhm.
have to run. And so that's my thing because like I've got friends who want to start kickball leagues, and I'll join a kickball league. I don't know how good I'm gonna be. I'm
Mhm.
not fast. I'm fast for a very short period of time. Like so I wanted to get involved with something that was fun and social. I could potentially, walk around, get better at this thing, and it's basically like golf, but not as expensive, and
Mhm.
there's a cooler edge to it. So we'll see. I've got my first little beginner's discs and a little
Ooh.
pack to put them in, and I've got my reference card. And I'm learning all the different word like the terminology and stuff. And so we'll go out and see. And I threw discus in high school.
Oh, I did not know that.
I never competed. I trained to
Mhm,
throw discus, and then there was another thing that happened, so I quit the track team to go do that. So I never
mhm,
actually went to a meet to do it,
mhm.
but I certainly trained doing it, that and shot put.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't even throw a regular frisbee like straight. It always like goes up in the air or like
Oh yeah. No,
hits me in the face. Like I don't even know.
I got good throwing. I got good hand-eye coordination, backwards and fronts throwing. And
Mhm,
we used to play for like a summer. Friends of the show, Mark and JJ and a bunch of other people would get together on a little empty lot near one of the places they lived, and we would do ultimate frisbee.
mhm,
And let me tell you, I am not cut out for ultimate frisbee. I can throw it, I can catch it. If you throw it to me, don't make me run to get it because I'm not going to get there in time.
mhm.
And then the amount of just the athleticism of the running of that, I'm like, no, I'm old and fat. I can't do it. So with disc golf, like I said, I just get to I got to just plant my body in one place and throw
Mhm.
it, and then walk to pick it up, and then throw it again. Like, so I mean, maybe not at the place where I'm gonna start off, but at some point, maybe I can also drink during it. Can I also
Ooh.
drink beer? Like this will be great. Can I have a small flask of martini?
That's my favorite part of Can Jam. So it's you got the it's like cornhole. Only
Mm-hmm.
you have these like garbage can looking things and a frisbee and it's got like a slit and it's open top. So you
Oh,
get like 3 points if you get it in the top. And you like 11 points if you get it through the little slit.
right.
1 point if you just hit the can. And like you got another person on the other side, and if you go all the way off into the other direction,
Uh
they
huh.
can like try to hit the disc down so that it hits the can somehow
Oh, cool.
or goes in it. Like so
You can
you
get an
get points that way.
assist.
Yeah, you get an assist.
That's cool.
And so the great thing about it is you got your, just like cornhole, you can still drink
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
doing it.
I
It's a
want to.
fun beach game.
Yeah, I want to be able. At this point in my life, I don't want to do anything fun unless I can also have a cocktail. Um,
Same.
fill a camelback with wine.
Hmm.
Do to figure it out. Like, because this is what leisure sports are to me.
Oh man,
So
that sounds great.
yeah, so I'll report back
Please do.
on how that goes. Um, Also, I just got to put this out here, y'all. I'm doing so many podcasts, y'all. Let me tell you. So I've got this one.
Hmm.
I'm doing these reviews for the Patreon.
Hmm.
I'm setting up to do some do it yourself how to kind of terrain building videos and that kind of stuff in the pipe that's coming down. I'm on the GURPS role playing show. So that's as the dice roll, and you can find that
Hmm.
on YouTube or just find it just in your podcatcher. Look for as the dice roll, and I'm on that. And yeah, it's just there's so much recording. I also would like to point out, and I know you've listened to this show before. There's a show I want to recommend to everybody. Uh, that Roger got mad at me for not recommending it before now because it's our favorite. It's mine and his favorite show.
Hmm.
It's called Law Laughs.
Hmm.
And if you like this show, you need to Google that show and get in on it. It's about some old TV show. It's great. Um, it's the two actors from Brief Humor talking about their time on the show. It only ran for 2 seasons, and it's fun. So go and check that out if you like this, you'll like that.
I really enjoyed it. It's a very good deep cut onto the series, and you really just get the background of each episode. I really enjoyed like doing the deep dive.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Law Laughs. Check it out. I mean, even Paris likes it. Come on, it's a good
And
show.
I hate most things.
She hates mostly. She likes it. It's a good show. So yeah, well let's talk about here 2 hours into it. Let's talk about the actual topic, which relationship and ain't easy. Relationships are difficult.
Hmm.
You had brought this up, which I thought was a great topic about the different things that can make relationships difficult. So I'm looking at your notes now. Cats are running all around. Um, so what? Lead us off. What are we talking about?
Right. So there's this kind of like two things. Like the like starting the relationship, that's obviously really difficult. And I think like a lot of the podcasts have kind of been
That's what I'm
surrounded.
good at.
Yeah,
I'm good at starting relationships.
exactly,
Yeah.
because that's what you give a good advice on that.
Right.
And then it's the like you're in a committed relationship and like the long slog. Like, I mean, it's not a slog. It can be beautiful, but like some of it's a bit of a slog.
It's a job.
It's a job.
Yeah.
You got to work at it. And I'm also like really interested, like the more people who come up on the Discord because they're Patreon subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
like learning more about like these dudes being, with women who aren't nerds, which is like just like crazy to me. I'm like, how do you even like
how do you
at
even
first
relate?
yeah, I'm like, at first I was like, how do you even have a conversation? But then I started doing a bit of like looking inside. And Kevin and I really like built our relationship around being able to play a first person shooter together, the original Destiny game.
Mm-hmm.
And he still now he plays the Destiny 2. I don't know if anyone's new here. Like,
oh, I'm like, what's that game? I've never heard of it.
It's a first person shooter game. It's on all the consoles and I'm pretty sure the PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you can play across platforms.
And you can play cross platforms, and you can the primary download's free, right? Like it's
yes.
the new seasons that cost the money.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kevin can still play, or the business Kevin, it doesn't matter. He still plays it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the time. Like, it takes a lot of time to be good at a first person shooter for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just pick up the controller and be good.
And it's a grind. It's a real grind.
It's a grind.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the time. And I'm a different type of person than he is. He is somebody who can get really into one thing and dig down deep and like understand the minutia and everything. And I am a dabbler. I like to pick something up. I like to try new things. I like to do it a little bit and set it back down and then try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know of a lot of little things, but not like deep into any like lore of really anything. Like,
right.
Unless it's AO3, then I got you. But like,
right.
So I was wondering if that's kind of like an analogy, like if like now we don't have this common thing anymore. Like, I know the lingo about talking about Destiny with him,
mm-hmm.
but it's not a shared experience anymore. And that's a difficult point to be in a relationship for us, because we did build it over, like we did build as geeks together this common geek language.
Right.
And so it's hard at this point now. Also, we do have, an infant and a 3-year-old. So
yeah.
like
you
spending
busy.
time, yeah, we busy. But like spending time together, like I'm having a bit of a trouble like just figuring out like fun things that we can do together that aren't me like blowing off the PlayStation 4 that's upstairs and resubscribing to PlayStation Plus, because like that's gone. Like,
yeah,
that's been and then also buying a new season, like just all this investment for me to just hop on for a little bit of time with him. What between that and the alternative just seems like, okay, what show are we gonna watch now?
well, I mean, and this, you and I, we haven't talked about this specifically. I mean, of course, I play Destiny with both of you, and I still play Destiny with him. But, and for if you're hearing bells and some people singing the songs of their people, my cats have lost their fucking minds, and so they're running around singing and dingling their bells, and I wish they'd stop it. Go sit down. Go do something else. God. Anyway,
love me, mama, love me.
They're like, something's happening. So anyway, no, the question that I have is, why is it necessarily on you to get back into what it is he's doing, where maybe he could take a small break? Because here's the thing about, and this is because I know him personally and I know how good he is at Destiny. He's a completionist. He does everything. And I'm a filthy casual. I'm still really damn good at the game. I don't have to play it every day. I play it maybe once or twice a week. And one of those times is just to play Gambit with my Gambit group. And just and now, since we don't have weeklies, this is so Destiny related, but now that we don't have weeklies, I'm like, why? We don't need to play Gambit as much as we do, because we're not getting the points for it. But anyway, like, there's a part of me that thinks that instead of it being default TV, because everybody watches TV shows and movies, maybe he needs to take an hour or two off and go figure out what it is you're dabbling in and dabble in it too.
Mhm.
I mean, isn't that a solution? Because I mean, you're not going to get back in. You're not going to do that. That's too much time to get back into something that you don't enjoy enough to have kept up with it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not saying that I don't enjoy it. It's just that my personality is not someone who hyperfixates
Right.
on something for long.
Right.
Like, I think the longest hyperfixation I've had is hockey, quite frankly. So
Mm-hmm.
like, and he gets into that. So he'll watch a game, we'll put it on, all that stuff. We'll do, we do a puzzle, we'll play Magic,
A Rombe Cabeza.
Rombe Cabeza. We love one of those.
Thank
We
you.
love to do, we love to do that's our second Spanish reference of the night. So I'm digging this.
Yeah.
Um,
We're going
we're
international
basically
here.
bilingual. I don't know.
Basically, we basically speak Espanol.
Habla. Oh, but yeah, so I mean, that's definitely a thing as well. Like, it's a give and take. Like, there's some work that I have to do
Mm-hmm.
to meet him, and there's work that he has to do. So, like, I hesitate to ask him to cut back on more Destiny because he has cut back substantially as
Right.
is.
Yes.
Because, like, straight up, like, he comes home, he used to just pop on the PlayStation and do some strikes, do some bounties, do some get angry at uh uh the PvP. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nothing gets that man angrier than the PvP. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I'm better at Crucible than he is.
so like uh
Somewhere now he's like I know they're talking about me and he's texting like stop
his
talking about me.
entire nose is starting to itch. Like, it's just spread out to his
Stop it.
face. He knew this was happening when we were gonna just
I would just like to say this. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Because we
Thanks
know
for your
he's gonna
download.
listen. He's gonna listen to this one.
But so like he already cuts back because I gotta work.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but you got,
we're
and also too, preface this with you have 2 small children.
yeah.
So your free time has already been cut into a third. I mean, like you have a
Mhm.
third maximum of the free time you used to have.
And actually now our free time is asynchronous. Like,
Yeah.
he wakes up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
to like work out, play Destiny, clean the kitchen, do that. And then he's in bed at 7. Like, you thought his bedtime was early before. He's in bed at like 7:30.
He's clinically insane. I don't understand. I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm
And
glad
then
he's doing it because it's working, but still.
my time is he's gone to bed, kids are in bed. I'm up until 10:30 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and so we don't even have overlapping like time together. Like, it's only on the weekends,
Right.
and it's like because he'll stay up and I'll go to bed early on the weekends. So
Right.
like, yeah,
What's the
just this.
solution? I don't know that there's a
I mean,
solution.
I think the thing is, like, you got to be okay with phases in your relationship being like this. Like, especially if you decide to have kids, but even if you don't decide to have kids, even if sometimes it just waxes and wanes. Like,
Yeah.
once that spark, we'll talk about how that term is problematic later. But like, once that spark does happen, whenever that fire catches, it's kind of like a pilot light.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the summertime and that pilot light's still on. It's just real low.
Yeah.
And you just got to work through it. And then, it'll be wintertime and you're cranking up the heat and you're cozying up together. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to date guys who share the same geek stuff that I do.
mhm.
Like if you don't like Star Wars and you're not from like a time machine, I don't know how we're gonna ever get down. Because
Yeah.
Star Wars is just a thing like everyone should be into.
Mhm.
But like in my last relationship, he was very into sports. He was very into golf. He was very into he watched different types of movies than I did, different types of TV than I did. And I found that part to be like, okay, well, just as long as we are interested in what each other's doing, we don't have to do the same things. And I found that part of the relationship fine. Other parts of the
Mhm.
relationship were terrible, but that part of the relationship was fine. He played video games, but he played Call of Duty and like The Witcher. He's playing stuff that like, we're not playing together. I'm playing my video games, and I think it bothered him more than it bothered me
Mhm.
because I'm always someone who, I don't know if you know this about me, gee, but I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And I'm happy for you to come along or not. It doesn't
This
bother
is
me at all.
the first time hearing of this. Like, I did not know this about you. This is ridiculous.
I think too, one of our first sort of arguments, or where I kind of a red flag, if you will, there was this idea that he wanted me to come over to his house to watch him play video games.
Yeah.
And I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to do that,
Mm-hmm.
because if I'm going to sit and video games are happening, I'm going to be playing my video games. And
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was good enough that I'll go play mine in my room and you go play yours in your office or your room. And I'm never going to tell you don't play a video game. I'm never going to be like, come spend time with me. I'm always going to be like, are you still on? I'm still on too. Let me finish this strike before I go to bed, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we happen to like the same games, I also want you to be in your room playing them, and if we can team up, great. And if not,
Mm-hmm.
also that's great, because I'm going to play a video game. So it's odd for me, or not odd, but I feel like I'm kind of like the wrong person to weigh in on this, because I'm a very selfish, non-sharey kind of person anyway. And I typically don't want anyone to be interested in the same stuff I'm interested in,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it keeps me from doing it because
Mm-hmm.
they want to do it. Or I don't think I'll ever be able to live in the house where if we both play PS4, we don't have two PS4s.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't, I couldn't imagine.
Oh,
And same way with any of the any consoles or any kind of PC. Like, and I also, well, I mean, I'm a weird case anyway, because now I don't think I want to marry a man and he live in his own house, but or a very masculine woman and she live in her own house,
mm-hmm.
and we will meet up, and then we will retreat to our own spaces. So if that's interesting to anyone, or something, if someone sounds like they might be interested in, let me know. But but no, I take I when someone has a different interest, someone I'm in a relationship with has a different interest than I do, I take an interest in the fact that they're interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about golf. I don't really care about sports. But if you're interested in it, I want to hear how, tell me what you thought of the game. Tell me what you thought of the sport. And if you want me to go to a game or something, I'll do that every once in a while. I don't like crowds,
Mm-hmm.
so that's not really for me. And if you want to, and here's my thing too, I always feel so cheated. If you wanted to watch nothing but sports all day, then there's your room to watch sports, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
see you when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with a lot of the guys I've dated, that's not enough. They want me to come watch the sports with them, but I don't enjoy sports, so why do you want me in there?
Yeah, that's so weird. Like, I
I find clingy men, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I get I got when I was earlier in the relationship, I would want to sit next to him, like he was playing maybe Fallout, like really early in the
Mhm.
relationship, he would be playing Fallout, and that was his hyperfixation. He had played Fallout 3 and then
I
Fallout New
love that game.
Vegas, like just like over and
Mhm.
over, like new plays, different settings on hard, like or I'm only gonna shoot them in the left boob, like I don't know, like
Right.
just different iterations on how to complete this game. That was his thing, and I loved sitting next to him and watching him do a thing and him getting into it. Uh, and now, like, if Destiny's on the big TV, like we
Yeah.
have in our living room, we have one single TV set up. We have, and he's doing the Destiny. There'll be times in the day where, like, if he's gone to do something else, like he's like, okay, well, I gotta try to put the kid down for a nap, or I've gotta. The older one wants to kind of like snuggle a little bit before she'll drift off to sleep, so
Mhm.
that takes a little bit of time. Um,
Aw.
it's so cute. Um, but I hate doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But Kevin, he's fine with like, playing on his phone while she snuggles up against him. It's the cutest thing. But he'll leave Destiny on, and I'll just pop over to Disney Plus and start watching some of this MCU. And he'll
Right.
come out and he'll be like, "Ugh," and I'm like, "You were in orbit. You weren't doing nothing."
Yeah, yeah.
So I think our solution for that problem, and okay, so I like being next to him. So we've been having a hard time with like playing Destiny when we do want to play Destiny together.
Yeah,
Like the
because you're in
barrier
separate
for
places,
me, yeah, we're in two separate places. We're in different parts, and
different
we've come
floors.
up with different floors. Like,
Yeah.
and we headphones on. I could hear him talking under me before I hear him through my headset. Like,
I couldn't stand it.
it's ridiculous. So we're kind of coming up with this thing, and we don't know if we're going to be able to do it in this house, or if this is going to be like if we buy a new house and this is
Mm-hmm.
what our system looks like. But we're thinking of two big TVs, like in an L shape and
Yeah.
then like a sectional.
I
So
think that
like,
I've had a similar idea. Which because I like that idea.
mhm,
And I like for me, I like the idea of having a TV on one wall and a TV on the other wall. And then you have, because I like recliners or like
mhm,
chairs that don't, I gotta be honest, I get hot. You see me
mhm,
push these cats away from me all the time. I don't like someone touching me all the time because I get
mhm,
hot. But if you could put you know, a love seat facing one way or a love seat facing the other, and like you could still be beside each other and hold hands and whatever, or like recliners, but just they're facing different ways. Also, that way I won't be looking at someone else's screen
mhm.
because I find other screens distracting.
Yeah.
I'll close up on my laptop and stuff if I'm about to play a video game. Because if not, if something moves on the laptop or something refreshes or whatever, I'm, you know, immediately
Mhm,
looking at that. So, but I like that idea. I think that
mhm,
when our parents grew up, a lot of us, I know I did, I lived in a home where you had like a front parlor room that was
mhm,
like the good room, and then a den, and like the TV was always in the den, and like video games were hidden away. Our age group,
mhm,
and I mean, I'm older than you, but like our combined age groups, video games are kind of a thing. Movies and TV are kind of our lives, is what we do.
mhm.
And so, in the same way you'd have a room that had all your bookshelves with all your books in it, I think having the front room with multiple TVs is completely acceptable and fine. I don't see
Yeah.
anything wrong with that. I think that's a good solution.
I'm not worried about the design aspect of it at all. I mean, a little like I look like because it would be our front room. Like if you walk
Yeah,
into our front door, you would be like, "Wow, you've got two big ass TVs and a sectional."
right. And I think that people our age would be like, "That's so cool." I think that our
Mhm.
parents would be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Which, but they're not long for this world. So, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I hope they live forever. But in my experience, it doesn't work out that way. So, um,
Oh,
also, we don't
oh,
care what old people think.
mhm.
Let me check my side part. Hold on.
Yeah, exactly. Don't care what young people think either.
I don't care what nobody thinks, clearly. And I don't care that you don't care about my opinion now. Because you told me it was okay for me not to apologize for it. So I'm not going to do it anymore. Oh, God.
I think
Um,
like yeah, relationships just take work constantly tuning things, and I I guess I wanted to share this more in a like we're super happy, everything's
mhm.
super great. Like don't read into this. But like even for like happy, successful, loving relationships have moments where they're like, "Oh, well this couple of months really sucks."
Yeah, they're not happy
And
all the time.
yeah, you're not happy all the time, but like it's cyclical and like the ride is worth it in the end, like in the end.
Yeah.
Like um and talking speaking of the end, that podcast that I
Oh,
linked to you,
yes,
that life
yes.
kit, the fact that that lady's book is called How Not to Die Alone,
I mean, she got some ovaries on her.
I was woo.
That book, you know how many people that has triggered? Not me, but you know how many people it's triggered?
It had been dozens.
No, how to not die alone. We all die alone. That's how
Mm,
death works. But yeah, so the name of that podcast, it's the Life Kit podcast, and I'll link to it in the show notes. It's an NPR podcast, but and I didn't write down the two women's names because I'm shitty. But the title of the episode is "Fuck the Spark: The Science of
mhm.
Finding a Partner." And I tell you what, I listened to it, and at first I thought this doesn't apply to me, and then by the end of it, I'm like, this applies to me. I'm every single one of these different types of people. So, um, so one of the things she points out, she runs a dating bit service, a business where she's like a matchmaker,
Mhm.
and she has come up with three different types of daters or three different types of people that you are if you're looking for a relationship. And do you want me to do this or do you want to do it?
Yeah, I want you to
Okay.
tell us about the peoples.
So the first type is the romanticizer. And it's basically you're caught up in the fairy tale about how you want the story to play out. You're a romanticizer if that's the sort of person you are. If you're you know looking for your Prince Charming, or you want to get married on a mountain riding unicorns, and so like that's what's holding you back, or that's what's keeping you from staying in relationships. You're a romanticizer.
Mhm.
The maximizer, and at first I was like, that's not me. And then the second is the maximizer. And if you're a swipe addict with a checklist of qualities for the next best match, then you're a maximizer, and that's me. Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm a maximizer. It made me think about this, and so I might have to go back and change. I'm on dating profiles. I'm not active on them right now. They exist and my pictures up there, but the handful of men in my life that I was not related to, that I have actually deeply loved and cared about, have been between the heights of 5'6" and 5'8". I mean, loves of my life. And yet I won't date anybody that's not 6 feet tall. I'm a fool. Now, granted, I'm 6'1", so you know, these sweet, precious short kings we have out there who might want to date me, I'm fucking swatting them out of the air for no good reason. There are no more proms. We don't got to go dance nowhere. Like, and even if we did, so I'm dancing with a short guy. It's not his fault. I'm tall. But the honest, like, the list of non-smoking, can't have kids, can't want kids. Now that you can have kids, but if you're 46 years old and you definitely want children, I'm like, nope, not me, because I don't. And so the amount of time or the amount of effort I've put into my checklist has just gotten me completely unfucked. I mean, like, I'm just completely out there in the middle of nowhere with, like, potentially passing up on fantastic relationships. So yeah, that's me. But let me get to the third one. The third one is the hesitator. And I'm kind of a little bit of this too, or I was in the past year or so. The hesitator is if you have trouble getting started dating or have a million reasons why this isn't your time in life to find love. And I think that might be a more common one, especially among young women who are getting their careers together. And there's this thing, I hate to even say it, but I talk about it all the time with Roger about how this whole idea about women can have it all. And I feel like women can have it all and should have it all, but I think it's very difficult to have it all at once. And with the idea of wanting to have children, wanting to have your career done, wanting to you know, make a lot of money, pay off your student loans if you start doing that stuff before you have children, I think you really do run the risk of end up being, you know, you're in your mid 30s and now you're on a rush to just find anybody to impregnate you.
Oh yeah.
I think that you did it the right way. I think that you're like, fuck it, I'm doing it all at once. In my youth, so I don't have to worry about this. And also because you wanted to have a certain amount of a certain number of children.
Yeah, and my man's old.
Well, I mean, I'm a year older than he is, but you're right. I mean,
he's older than, like, I'm turning 30.
You. Yeah.
Like,
yes. No, you can't be, you wouldn't want to be waiting around until he was in his 50s to start having children. He would.
Right.
His knees would be all popping. He couldn't be no help. He'd be sleeping 15 hours a day. Like I do. Like, fucking sloth. I'm like, let me slowly creep over to the bedroom for a nap because I wash the dishes. And I'm tired. But yeah, so those are the three types that they talk about. So she has lots of good examples and anecdotes about you know, people who've come to her and how they go out with people on the first date that she set up and everything's perfect except they don't feel the spark. And I might be a little bit guilty of that too. She kept comparing it to rom-coms. I don't watch rom-coms. I hate rom-coms. So that's not where mine comes from. Mine is more from a narcissistic, you don't deserve me if you don't spark my interest immediately sort of place, as opposed to, it's supposed to be romantic and wonderful. But that's on my own neuroses and issues. But this idea of how we keep wasting time with people who potentially could be perfectly wonderful partners because they don't automatically meet our checklist or automatically cause a spark. And so she suggested the 3-date rule to make sure that you go out on at least 3 dates with someone to make sure that you won't like them potentially. And she did this analogy, which I loved about hiring, because that's something I'm familiar with. When a job I used to work at, I used to have to hire secretaries or admin assistants. And she said, so if you're hiring a secretary and you have 100 applications, you go through and you can have, in the first 10, there's somebody who's really good and would be great for the job. But then you've got all this perspective of, I've got all these other people to go through. Someone could be so much better.
Mhm.
And that if there's a whole math involved with it, that at 37% is where you've hit your threshold. So once you've seen 37 applicants, statistically, you're not going to get any better than what you've already seen in the first 37.
Mhm.
So just pick from those and to not keep waiting, because I do that all the time. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm with this person, not the last relationship, but relationships before. I'm with this person, but I could do better, or someone out there is better for me. And so I break up with them. I can't, now you've known me through maybe 2 or 3 different boyfriends, like long-term
Mhm.
boyfriends. Are any of them, and this isn't going to hurt my feelings, are there any of them that you think I should have stayed with?
Um, hmm. See, that's a hard question to answer because there I associate those men with points in my life as well. And
Right,
so I feel like I have an answer of yes, but I don't know if it's because I liked where I was
right.
in life at that point and then that person fit in well and there was a nice dynamic, or if I actually thought that you should have stayed with them. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like
Yes,
that's a
yes.
hard, like I feel like I want to say yes, but I think that it has more to do with me, not really to do with you.
Right, right. And I think I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, we're just like, yes, we know.
We know.
Um, I also think that you might be thinking of that person because he had such a huge crush on you that you might.
I know. I love the attention
I know.
too.
I'm like,
So
I'm glad y'all are still friends. But but yeah, because I've said that with my first husband.
Mhm,
I have made the comment to friends of mine who were with me at the time who knew him, and I've
mhm,
said like, maybe I should have stayed with him, and they've all been like, hell no, he was
mm,
terrible, he was awful, you shouldn't have. Because now when I think, the way that I do personally with relationships is, I at the beginning, when it's over, no matter, regardless of who broke up with whom, it's all the negative stuff is the only thing I talk about and focus on, because
mhm,
either I've got sour grapes about it, or more likely than not, I'm trying to justify why I broke up with this person.
mhm,
And if the farther out I get from it, I remember fond things. I remember things that were sweet. I don't remember the stuff that I hated, unless it was a
mhm.
really good story. It was a really good Jeremy Statham story, and then I'll tell that 100 times. But like, like, and so I got divorced, and it was final in 2006.
Mhm,
And so I have a couple of really funny stories from when I was married, but I don't remember him in a non-fond way. I don't hate
mhm,
him. I'm not angry at him, because I didn't really hate him or was angry at him when we broke up. I just wasn't in love with him.
mhm,
And so, and I thought being married to someone you weren't in love with, and it was a dumb thing to do. So, so then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should have left him. And then the friends are like, no, we hated him.
mhm,
He was horrible for you. You made the right decision. And I shouldn't, not that I should let what they think really matter, but it just did sort of reaffirm, because this group of people would have told me like, yeah, you probably should have stayed.
yeah.
But yeah, but no. So I do almost all of these things. I do less of the romanticizer.
Mhm,
I'm 100% maximizer.
mhm,
And I guarantee you, I have missed out on some fantastic dating experiences and relationships based on that.
mhm,
I think I still, for whatever reason, the smoking thing, I don't think I'll ever be able to get over.
mhm,
Like the height thing, I got no problem with.
mhm,
I just didn't assume anybody who was 5'8" wanted to date a 6'1" woman. What do I know? They're
mhm.
losing their minds over that Silent Hill 8 foot tall vampire lady. I was like, shit, if I knew this was what y'all were into, hell, I could have been doing much better out there. I'll step on you. Bring it on. I got the costume and everything. Um, but but no, so the swipe addict, I'm constantly going, nope, 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 maybe, nope,
Mhm,
nope, nope. And for sometimes, if it's for like, they have too many dogs or something, like, honest to God, there'll be the littlest thing that will give me an excuse not to swipe right, or to
mhm,
react to a message from someone. It's almost now at this point, when someone messages me on a dating app, I go through trying to find the reason for me not to respond.
mhm.
And it's so bad.
I mean, according to this mindset, that yeah, it is against that mindset. I do find it interesting that you identify a bit with all of them because when you messaged me on Discord, and was like, I'm interested to hear which one you think I am.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh fuck, I think all of them. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm glad that we're on the same page there.
Yeah. Like, and I
Mhm.
think, and if you take the romanticizer, which is one I think I'm the least
Mhm.
likely, or the least fit into the category, you can mold that into the maximizer. The reason I'm maximizing is because I have this concept in my head.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a romanticized. Well, I guess by definition, it's romanticized. It's not because it's a Prince Charming thing. It's more of a, especially from my experience, these are my requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the hesitator, I didn't date anybody for 3 years.
Mhm.
2 years ago, or yeah, no, a year ago.
Mhm.
I quit. I was just done. I had other stuff
Mhm.
going on in my life, and I just didn't. Because the other thing that I don't think that these people nor Roger think about
Mhm.
is how much time and effort dating takes. It is
Yeah.
like a part-time job.
Mhm.
And so that's when I'm hesitating, when I'm putting it off, it's because I don't want to have to now have to go into the idea of, here I've got this part-time job I'm working, this seasonal work of
Mhm.
having to do this sort of communicating or search, because the search has never been the issue for me. There are lots of guys out there, and like I said, I'm gonna get rid of my height requirement and start dating some shorter dudes,
Mhm.
if they'll have me. And because I think that's a lot of it too. I think I have so restricted myself just based on something so stupid.
Mhm.
It's like a whole revelation, because she even says it in the thing about how women will go out with men, the men that it seemed to me like the men that were her clients were all gay.
Oh yeah, it did sound like that.
So there's like no male perspective going on here, but that's fine.
Mhm.
They're everywhere else. But the idea of, or straight male, I should say.
Mhm.
But the idea that women will be like, oh yeah, he was great, but he's not 6 feet tall.
Mhm.
I'm not even getting to the, yeah, he's great. I'm just being like, no, I'm not even talking to you.
Yeah.
Just so shitty. I just don't.
Well,
I feel almost like it's almost like a racist thing that I've done, and I feel bad about it because I'm
well,
attracted to shorter men.
yeah, and you know, it's all about self-discovery. I mean, you
Yeah,
mentioned it yourself, like even the advent of this podcast was like, or maybe the reboot, you were like, man, I don't know nothing. Let's keep going.
right. Like, I don't
Let's
know.
go together. Yeah.
I can tell you how to get a date. That's all I
Mhm.
can do. Especially if you're a guy, I can tell you how to get a date.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'll learn right along with you because I clearly
Mhm.
haven't done it right. Um,
So
and I.
what
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, there's one other part of the podcast that really struck out to me that was like, wow, this is Kelly. And it was talking about sparky people. Like some people you have to give them 3 dates to find
Mm-hmm.
maybe where what you could find a spark with or
Right.
whatever. And then there are other people who like you get a spark with right away and
Yeah.
like you need to give that time to like realize, oh, that was like a false start or like this is too hot, like all that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you are a sparky person.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. That's why I say people, everybody likes me at first.
Mhm.
And then there's a point where either you stay liking me and you probably will like me forever, or you fucking hate me. Like I don't know anyone out there with like a lukewarm idea.
Mhm.
Like either because I'm very empathetic, and I'm like a predator. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands.
Those
Get you.
kitties are coming at me.
I'm gonna get you. Um, but yeah, like I go into a room and I suck up all the oxygen, and I turn all the lights on me, and I'm like, who's ready for this? And then there are people who are like, yay, and then there are people like, not me. And a lot of times too, I think that that even people who originally are like, yay, and then after a while they're like, does this ever stop? And it's like, nope, it doesn't. This is it. And they're like, okay, this is not for me. Which is totally valid and fine, and I get it. But which is why I think I found, because we talked about this on the last episode with Roger, and I won't say his name. Poor guy. I hope he doesn't listen to the show because I've talked
Mhm.
about him a lot, and he's done nothing wrong, and it's not his fault. But the guy I was playing the game with, who
Mhm.
seemed to have flatline, no interest. No, he did not like me. He didn't like me. We were doing the
Mhm.
thing, and it was just like I could not get a read. I found that so interesting. I could not get a read off of him at all.
Mhm.
And I'm like in his house, like boobs out, like, so tell me about, like, I'm doing everything. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm doing all my tricks. I'm nothing. And it
Mhm.
wasn't like he was like, no, no thanks. It was just like, it's your turn. Like, like, oh God. So like I think that's why I did it for so long. Other than the fact that I like the game, that's why I did it for so long. Because I was like, what is this guy's deal?
Mhm.
What's your opinion of me, sir? You gotta tell me, because I usually know by now, and I got nothing. Deadpan, I got nothing coming out of you, guy. So I still don't know.
Mhm.
That guy, he's funny to me. Because he'll sometimes we haven't had a party in years because
Mhm.
of the COVID, but there'd be times at parties he'll come up to talk to me, and I'm like, why are you talking to me? What is it? And it could just be because he had a question or something, but I'm like, what's going on? What is this about? Sir, state your intentions. But yeah, no, I when she said that, I was like, yeah, because I'm always too on the sort of borderline of, do I truly have a narcissistic personality or not? And I think that I do. I think my mother had a narcissistic personality, so I think I emote like a narcissist would, but I don't
Mhm.
argue like a narcissist, and I don't think I gaslight or do any of that kind of like manipulative stuff like a narcissist would. So I think I just kind of like, maybe I just took all the good parts of narcissism, which is something a narcissist would say. But like, there's lots of times where I'm like, oh God, I shouldn't go in here and do this. And because I think you're right. I think I am very personable and
Mhm.
sparky. And I think lots of people, regardless of orientation, develop crushes on me. And if
Mhm.
you develop a crush on me, I've got a crush on you now, because this is a nice feedback loop. I enjoy that. So if you focus on me, I turn to focus on you. And so now we're best friends forever, and we're going to have tombstones next to each other. Like, so yeah, there I think this is where a 3-date or 7-date rule would at least help whoever was dating me to be like, are you sure? Are you still sure?
The thing about the 7-date rule is that I feel like it assumes that once you start the first date, like that you want to have sex with the person. Like you are just gonna slog through all 7 dates until you can see some boobies. I guess you, but according to his rules, you can see boobies earlier because sexism, whatever.
It was over the bra. Essentially, we have to go back to 7th grade, and I'm fine with it.
I guess if I just if they get to see my like low level cleavage, I get to see cum gutters. Like that's just gonna be
Great.
like
I
back and
love this.
forth.
We're gonna have a big table, like where once we can all get we're all vaccinated. We're gonna get together and like a
Mhm.
conference, like the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
Or no, not that, the Paris Accords. Holy shit, you've got all of them.
I got them all.
We're all gonna come together. It's gonna be Roger and like 5 women, and we're gonna
Mhm.
hammer out this 7-date thing, and
Mhm.
we're gonna figure out these rules, and we're gonna get some things that we want, and no one's gonna be completely happy, because that's how compromise works. But of course, I was completely sold on his idea when he's like, yeah, but you can't text more than 50 words during the thing. And I'm like, sign me up. I'm in. It sounds great. Also, too, I think he operates on this idea because he's much older than I am.
Mhm.
Much older. And he, I think he still has this 80s mentality that men are like sharks trolling around just looking to get laid and go away. And that has never
Oh
been my
man.
experience.
It's never been my experience either, and like it's to the point where I had to sit down with the business and be like, could you please tell me, like, explain why men feel things about the friend zone? Like, could you just like break it down? Because I just don't like. And so he did a really good job, and I don't want to open that can of worms again because
Please
that was
don't. Jesus Christ.
annoying. But like, he did a really good job of explaining like how men approach women and like what the antiquated views are and like what the crush dynamic from his view is.
Mm-hmm.
And like my man's super soft. Like he is this like he's got full of feels and all that stuff. So I realize that that's coming through
Yeah.
his filter. But
He
yeah,
wears
like
Heelys for his feelies.
he does. But like yeah, some of the things that Roger says, I'm just like, I don't know if that's quite how the youths are doing it today, but you go off, sir.
Well, what's so funny too is he married his first girlfriend, so I don't
Mhm.
he's not been doing a lot of shark trawling out there looking for babes either. I think it's because of his age and because of his generation and because of some of the men that are also in our friend group that are some of them are
Mhm.
that way.
Mhm.
These are men I would never date. So
Yeah.
they never come up on our sorts of of
Mhm.
radars because they wouldn't they number one, they wouldn't want me anyway, but also I wouldn't even consider them
Yeah.
because I can tell that they're that type of guy. And I
Mm.
think that most of the men who listen to this show and most of the men that we know in our lives that we date or have dated or are in relationships with are not that way.
Mm-mm.
They're looking to get wifed up immediately. Immediately. They want I mean, it's almost like they're all in the military. They're looking
Mhm.
for a wife
Mhm.
and they want to get in there and just like infect you, just like some sort of parasite. Like we're together now and we're going to be together forever and ever and ever. And it's a different sort of dynamic. And I think that's when he's like, "Oh, you need to go on 7 dates." I'm thinking 7 dates to the men that I've dated, that's a proposal.
Yeah.
Like they are moving in at that
Mhm.
point. I mean, like
Mhm.
I won't even make the lesbians in the U-Haul joke. Like they after 7 dates, they've named our children. Like
Yeah.
they are talking about all of the vacation homes we're going to own and stuff like that. And since that's not his experience, I think that's he's like, "Well, that doesn't seem like a lot," because the last time he dated, he was 15, 16, and
Mhm.
you couldn't do that. And you would go out, on a movie every week. And so I think there's a happy medium. And I think there's a happy medium between this woman's 3 dates,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense to me. Like give
Mhm.
someone 3 opportunities, but one
Mhm.
of them can be a coffee date. Like we don't have to go hiking each
Yeah.
time or go to a water
Oh.
park, you know.
Oh man. Some of the things that they did, they're like, "Oh, your date should be like maybe a little bit more fun instead of this interview style." And I'm like, "Man, that sounds dumb."
She said one of them was like, because we can't be together in the same place, so you should both go out and FaceTime walking around your neighborhood and then narrate what's happening in your neighborhood. And I'm like, let me tell you what I don't want to do. I don't want to be out of breath outside in the cold telling people, and there's another tree. And look, here's some rocks. Or she's like, or like, go to a restaurant and narrate what the people next to you or what other people in the restaurant are saying. And I'm like, I know in concept that sounds funny.
Mhm.
We can't just like if you're with a stranger, I mean, I could do it, but like other like regular people can't do stuff like that. Like that's not what you're gonna do on a first date. You're gonna the reason you ask all these background questions is because it's what's expected of you.
Mhm.
And because she's like, it doesn't matter how many siblings they have. I don't know. Are they only children? Because I'm an only child and it matters. Only children
Mhm.
are hard to be around. They don't share well and they like quiet and they're very independent. Like it does actually make a difference.
It definitely does, and I think that the I did like the drive behind the 2 or it was 2 or 3 dates. They actually disagreed. So one of the ladies was like, "I give him 2, 3 is very generous of you."
Yeah, yeah,
But it was to get over that first date jitters because you're focusing on different things
right,
on the first one, and
right.
during the second and maybe third one, you're a bit calmer. You can actually get a feel for the person rather than like, you know,
That makes sense.
the checklist basically.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think too with
Mhm.
a lot of online stuff, a lot of your checklist stuff is already answered
Mhm.
because they've posted about it.
Yeah.
Um, and here's something. So men and masculine women listen to this. Don't do this. I was on a date with a guy and I ended up dating him for a couple months. Um, and it was our first date and we met on like Match or OkCupid or something. And I said, "So what do you do for a living?" He goes, "No, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "My job does not define me. And so I'm not going to talk about it." Like that was 30-year-old Kelly. 30-year-old Kelly was like, "Okay." 43-year-old Kelly be like, "No, fuck you, dude. What do you do?" Like, hey, are you some sort of magician? You work for the government. You can't talk about it. Oh, wait, you work in IT for a company. Okay. Just say that. Like, this
Yeah.
is just, I don't actually fucking care, dude. I'm just making small talk.
Yeah. Man, though, I'm so glad I got married early and didn't have to do this because once I say, "Oh yeah, weather, anything
Oh, God.
climate," like people feel like they're already experts in the weather because
Yeah,
they are experts in their experience of the weather.
I
But that
guess.
doesn't mean that they're experts in the science of the weather. And oh man, I hate the small talk. I'll get there later. But like, oh man, I just If somebody
No,
were
no.
to, some dude or some chick, I mean, whoever would just, I don't think a woman would do this to me. Maybe a masculine, maybe, you know, there's different
I don't know.
personalities.
No, the masculine women that I have been with are delightful.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
never had
Maybe.
this issue.
Maybe. I don't, maybe women just don't, but like the men, even men who I'm talking to are just like, well, let me tell you about who I go to for weather. Let me pull up this podunk Facebook page from some guy who like, and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care.
Also, they get the weather from the same. They're getting it from the same place. Like it all
Yeah,
comes from the state, fools. Like the
exactly.
meteorologists aren't out there with like instruments figuring out, like on TV. They're not out there figuring out what the weather's going to be. They're getting data from the central point.
It's true. Rah. Anyway, yeah. So like the oh man, if I were to have to tell people what I do in like a date scenario now, I'd lie. I'd lie unless I knew him. Like if I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna get this vibe again. I would follow the fallacy of the sparkiness
Yeah.
because but I feel like I would say something else. I'd be like, oh, I'm a student.
There's a funny TikTok that people use the sound to, where some guy wrote a song because he's an actor.
Mhm.
And so people ask him what he does, and he says, I'm an actor. And they say, well, what do you do when you're not acting? And he's like, applying or auditioning is a full-time job. And so he makes a song called I'm an Accountant.
Mhm.
And it's so cute because he's like, whenever someone asks me what I do, I just tell them I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant. Where do you work? I work where accountants work. Like it's just so they'll quit asking follow-up questions. Tell them it's like boring thing he could tell. It's very cute.
That's great. I'm gonna use that. I
Dude,
think
find that song and then just play it at people.
just I'm an accountant. Just
Yeah, I'm an
stop
accountant.
bothering me. Like, oh man, I hate it. Like, I need to learn to lie. Like, I have a friend who has this really awesome dog, and everyone always asks what kind of breed the dog is. And
Hmm.
it's a breed. It's a Beauceron. But like most people don't know what a Beauceron is,
Right.
and most people don't um know how to say it. Like all this stuff. Like, there's all these things, and they want her to repeat it. Like they don't hear it right. So she just says mutt. He's a mutt.
Right.
He's a mutt. It's whatever. And I'm like, man, I need that, but for like what I do.
See, I don't. Yeah, like we've talked. You and I have talked about just that situation, and I've thought about it after the fact.
Mhm.
First of all, I'm not going to really compliment anybody on anybody's animal anyway. I leave people alone.
Mhm.
But if it somehow came up, I wouldn't be like, "What type of dog is that?" I would just
Mhm.
be like, "Your dog's very pretty,"
Mhm.
or "I like your dog's eyes." Like I'm not. Why do people put the burden on someone else to inform them about stuff?
I hate it.
It drives me crazy.
Mhm.
Like
There's
having to be.
apps for this. You just take a picture of like breed specification. Like there's if you care enough about dogs that you need to know what breed dogs are all around you,
Then you should
there
already
are
know.
apps for this.
You
Like
should already
well,
know.
you should already know.
You
Like
should already know.
fucking go on the AKC website, the American Kennel Club. I think.
Well, because that's the thing too. Like if I say, "Oh, your dog's really, I like your dog. Your dog's real so pretty," or like, "Oh, your dog's huge. I like
Mhm.
it," and then they say, "Oh, thank you. It's a bok
Mhm.
choy, whatever it was you said." You know,
Mhm.
like, it's a
Bok
whatever.
choy.
You know, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I've never heard of that."
Mhm.
Still, end of conversation. Have a good day. Like there's no
Yeah.
such like if they want to tell you what kind it is, you can tell. They can tell you. But I still would never. I would never comment on someone's dog. I wouldn't comment on. I would just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" and move on.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just.
Apparently dog folks are like this though. Like there's the like now that I have friends who are like deep in the dog world, I know this is a huge like offside, but I'm gonna get
That's
into it.
fine. Get on it.
Um that people will be like arguing, like, oh no, that's definitely a chihuahua. Like they know. Like it's something that's like a trope now that people are like, oh, this old lady swears this is a Boston Terrier, but it's a French bulldog. Like
Oh, who
I don't
cares?
I don't care either. I don't care. I'm just not a dog person anyway. So
Also, too, don't even get me started on the fact that all of these breeds, they're all the same dog. Dogs can
Mhm.
breed with any other dogs. They're same species. And we've ruined them. I tell you, every time I see those little smash face dogs, I'm always like, Brother Wolf, what have we done to you? You can't breathe now. You're super cute, but you can't breathe. What have we done? It's
Oh,
all
that
man-made and meaningless anyway.
that makes me think of the kitty litter game, the kitty litter game with the
Oh
spider
yes.
pug.
Yes. I can't wait to play that game with
It'll
all
be
the
fun.
girls in the lady chat.
It's gonna be fun.
How we're just gonna hate each other.
I suck at these games, so like
All right, well, we'll see. Old JJ's throwing down the gauntlet here. She's like, have you guys tried kitty litter? Hey, listeners, go go on your apps and it's free. Download kitty litter. It's from the same people who made Exploding Kittens and Throw Burrito, which I have a Kickstarter copy of Throw Burrito, and I got it a month before the damn pandemic.
Oh, wow.
When the pandemic is over, we're having a huge board games and Throw Burrito game. I'm going to throw some soft, squishy burritos at people. God damn it.
I have bought 3 different copies of Throw Burrito to give to like kids for their gift. Because like I felt like the parents are stuck with these kids and all they want to do is throw something at them. And at least it's like a game where you can bean your kid in the head with a soft burrito.
Yeah. I have 2 different. I have the Kickstarter special edition versions of the burrito. I have 4 burritos.
4 burritos.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to throw burritos in every direction.
You've got an abundance of burritos.
I'm full up to the brim of burritos. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
I think we've come to a moment here where we've solved starting dates completely, and we've also solved, continuing on relationships and putting in the work. Like everything's done here. I think we've given all the advice we could give.
That's right. We're putting a pin in it. We're done.
If it's still messing up for you, it's on you, man.
It's on you, man. God, I gotta go change all my height requirements and all my dating apps. I feel like such a fool. I could be happily married to the most amazing man who's 5'6". It's not his fault. He could be from another country. He could have not had access to protein like I did.
It's true. All I can remember is you constantly talking about my brother being short, because my brother is like 5'4".
Yeah.
And you're like, I just want to put him in a backpack.
I do. I want to carry around like Yoda. He's my baby Yoda. Not only is he short, he's also small. Like like his shoulders are that wide. Like he's a little guy. He's a handsome little guy. But I know he's teeny.
He's so teeny. So I'm just thinking like,
come on, let's go. We're going to the Walmart. Come on, I'll buy you something. Also, too, I don't know why I'm so high and mighty. Every 6-foot guy I've dated in the past 10 years has really been 5'10" and a half. Because they fucking lie.
They do.
I'm 6'1 3/4. I tell you like it is. I have a 37-inch inseam, motherfuckers. I'm telling you, these are the truths.
I like, maybe then you're like, with the filter, you're actually filtering like people who are just comfortable with themselves too. Like, if you're like, oh, well, I'll date somebody who's 5'6", and if somebody's putting 5'7" or whatever on their profile, they're like, this is who I am. I ain't gonna try to up some inches. Like,
no, all the short guys I've ever dated have been super confident, and they love the fact that I was tall. It's been me. It's my fault. And it's not even an insecurity. I don't give a shit. I mean, my prom pictures are hysterical. I'm this giant woman next to this little tiny guy in a suit, but he's handsome. He's a good looking dude. And also, I mean, it's an old saying, but we're all the same height when we're laying down. So it don't matter. You're right. I've been a fool this whole time. Watch out, short dudes.
She's coming for you.
I got a backpack. I'm gonna put you in.
I'm gonna baby Yoda this sitch.
That's right. Put your little carrier. Let's go. So, all right. Well, let's move on.
Insulted all short men.
Don't be insulted. You know.
Sorry. You go ahead.
So moving on to table flips. I'm gonna do mine real quick.
Yeah, please do.
So this table I'm gonna flip. I've been having to do a lot of Zoom depositions for my private company, not the state. And during the state, like in the kitty video, there's a judge, and people don't mess around talking in front of judges. Everybody's very like prim and proper, and yes, your honor, and Madam Court Reporter, and everything's great. And the Zoom deposition is not like that. It's like the Wild West. And I'm so sick of people coming on the Zoom depositions who are like the witnesses or the experts, not the attorneys. And they immediately come out of the gate with some political shit. And they're in like, a different state, or like they're in like a different place. And they're just out of the gate talking about, well, it's not like all these, someone said, yeah, they said there's no flu this year, but I wonder if that's because they get 100% funded if they say it's COVID. Who? Doctors? What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? obviously, just by the pure fact that we're not around each other and washing our hands, we're wearing masks,
Mhm.
we could not lower the level amount of flu and cold we're getting. Like, what are you
Mhm.
talking about? It's like everything is a conspiracy. Everything's related to like some sort of, like some sort of like political government thing. And it's like, hey, buddy, we're at work.
Mhm.
Stop saying your political opinions at work. Are you
Mhm.
at a job? Then don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. And don't bring up any weird social justice shit. Do your job and then get out of there. And when you're around like minded people, you can say your stuff. Because the rest of us, me and the other attorneys, are just kind of like, huh, I got no response to any of this, dude. Like, you're just out here
Mhm.
talking in the wind about nothing.
And you gotta type that up, right? Because they say it.
No, no. Well,
Okay, good.
this is all beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
good.
before we start.
I
No, they
was
wouldn't
say,
let.
can
They
you
would.
imagine?
They wouldn't let him. Somebody would object and take him off to the side and tell him to stop. But no, this is all. We're just all like, hey, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Mhm.
All right, my video is working. So, the Earth is flat. Like, no, dude, we're at work. Stop. You're making it uncomfortable for the rest of us. So that's my table flip. Don't get political at your workplace, because
Mhm.
that's not we're forced to be there, man. We don't have to hear all that crap.
I normally, in the normal times, work in a federal building, and there's the Hayes Act, something like that. Hatch Act. It's the Hatch
Hatch
Act.
Act.
Yeah. So there's always these things of whether or not like a BLM bumper sticker or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like when if you put it on your cubicle wall, is that violating of the Hatch Act? And they've come out and said it's not. So like, but still, like, I'm at work, I'm not putting, like, the most controversial thing I'm putting on my walls is the fact that I like a hockey team.
Right. Right. Well, yeah,
So
because you're
like,
gonna. I mean, if I put up all my political opinions, I'm gonna alienate
oh, I do.
57% of the population outright.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
then I'm so far liberal and far left, I'm gonna piss off the rest of you on the way out. The way out. Like, honest to God.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
no,
I would definitely.
it's a bad
Same.
idea.
Same. It just, yeah, I mean, as somebody who, and I care a lot about the things that I care about, but when I'm at work, and the thing is, my work thing is a little bit, some people think it's political,
Right.
but like, because I do climate change research, hello. But it's not, I mean, it's not, it's
It's
just
not really
science.
political, it's science. Science never wanted to be political, and it still doesn't understand why it's an issue.
But man, unsurprisingly, my table flip is about the weather.
Take that weather.
Okay, so it's February.
Right.
We're in the slog month. Like, we're almost there to brighter skies. It's just gray. It's whatever. But we're in North Carolina, and folks haven't had a good snow. We haven't had a big one yet. And we might not get one. Some seasons we don't.
Right.
But like, I've got friends who every time in the 10-day forecast there's a snowflake, they send me a screen cap and are like, tell me all about this snowflake. I want y'all to know, I feel like this has been a table flip before, but I don't care. I'm still angry about it.
Do it again.
I want you to know, we don't know anything 10 days in the future. We can give you a good idea of the temperature.
Uh-huh.
Like, it might be hotter or colder than normal. But the 10-day forecast is a lie. It's there on your iPhone because we got data for it. And like, people who make the iPhone app are like, people want this, so we're putting it out there. It's no man's land. Past 5 days, nobody ain't know nothing.
Yep.
Like, just don't ask me about it. If that snowflake creeps up and it's 3 days out, then I'll tell you about it. Then I'll be texting you because I'm excited about the snow.
Right.
If that, like, but then even then, if it's 3 days out, I'm not telling you any amounts. I'm just saying, get your bread, get your milk, get your things. But because even if it's 2 inches,
supplies.
Even if it's 2 inches, it's gonna feel like 6. Like, that's
right.
how North Carolina is. Like,
right.
just
because we don't know. We don't know how to do snow. We're just excited to see it.
Exactly. We're just like, whoa, it's white. Ho!
Look what happened while I was sleeping. The snow fairies came.
It's so exciting. So I hate the 10-day. I saw there was a tweet like 7,000 years ago, probably 2 weeks ago, that was like, what would your first executive order be if you were the president? I guess this probably was about a month ago when people were doing executive orders for the first time. And meteorologists were like, I'd abolish the 10-day forecast. It's caused me nothing but trouble.
Yep.
So
You said it one time. One of our friends acquaintance was on Facebook asking a million weather questions and was pissed because somebody had predicted that it was going to rain and it didn't. And it
mhm,
was one of those where it was like a 90% chance it was going to rain.
mhm,
And you pointed out to them, well, that means there's a 10% chance that it won't. And we don't know where you will be at that time. So you might be in that 10% chance where it didn't.
mhm.
And then they were like, well, why, like they were just irritated about it. And then you said, predicting the future's hard, y'all. And I say that all the time when people are like, well, the weather report's going to get it wrong. I'm like, they're predicting the future
Mhm,
based on math models. I
mhm,
said, have you ever seen that, like with the hurricane track and like you get 40, 70 million different ways that hurricane can go. And they can
mhm,
look at the models and say, statistically, it's probably going to be one of these 10.
mhm.
But that's all they have because it's predicting the future and you
Yep,
don't know what's going to happen in the future. Things change and
yep.
that thing that where it scoots off to space is probably not going to happen, but it could. That's
Mhm,
one of the predicted models. And it could do a thing that isn't even predicted. It's just like predicting the future is hard.
mhm. We're limited by the tools that we have.
Right. Like this is it. Like I've told you basically also if it said it was what it was a 10% chance of rain. If you're worried about the rain, bring an umbrella no matter what the weather says.
Yep.
Are you worried about the rain? Have an umbrella on you.
Mhm.
If you are caught out in the rain and you don't have an umbrella, you are the only person to blame.
Yeah.
Not the weather people. It's not their fault.
I swear, if I could do a forecast, I'm not a forecast meteorologist, but if I put out a forecast, it would only be vague senses of like, should you wear shorts? No.
No, right?
Bring your umbrella. Like, it wouldn't be like what the temperature is, how much,
Right.
like, is it gonna flood? Yes. You should not go outside. Like, it would just be like what you need to know. It would be like negging weather. Like, I'm just gonna tell you what to do. Like, just.
I love it. Like, how many inches will it rain? You're like, a bunch.
But it doesn't matter. Just put on a coat or don't go outside.
Right.
That's all.
Don't drive. Stay at home.
Yeah. It's gonna be nasty outside. You don't want to go nowhere. Stay
Right.
inside.
I would prefer vague weather. You'd be like, is it still cold? Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Cool. Mike, if somebody's like, is it cold? Is it gonna be cold next week? I'm like, it's February.
Yeah.
Yes, bitch. Like,
Yes.
what do you want from me?
We're in North Carolina. It's probably going to be cold off and on up until the middle of May.
Right. Thank you.
And then guess what? It's going to be hot
Yeah.
the whole rest of the time. Like hot.
Yeah.
Like cook an egg hot.
Oh man. During last summer, during quarantine, all these folks were like, we got to meet, during this time, in the afternoon after the heat of the day. And I'm like, after the heat of the day, the reason the heat of the day is gone is because there's the pop-up thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Know your climatology, folks.
Right. Heat of the day. Get out of here.
It was North Carolina. It's heat of the month. Like,
I know. My thing is the sun still up high?
yeah.
If the sun is still up high, I ain't coming outside.
Mhm,
It can be 99 degrees, but if the sun has gone down some, I'm okay. I can
mhm.
deal with the heat. I cannot deal with the bright and the burn.
The
That's what I
bright
can't deal with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's it's like the lows will be in the 80s at night. Like it's
Mhm.
hot. Just
hot.
deal with it.
It's hot, y'all.
It's always gonna be hot.
Oh man, I'm looking forward for when it's hot though. I hate this part of the year. Woof.
I just hate, and this has got nothing to do with nothing, but I feel like it's rained every single day for the past 2 years.
It has a Greensboro meteorologist. He just tweeted out, next 2 weeks are gonna suck, y'all. It's gonna be gray. It's gonna be wet. I'm sorry. Just hope for spring.
Well, spring is wet too. My yard
Right?
is completely ruined. I'm just gonna pave over
Mhm,
the whole thing because it's just nothing but mud. It's been mud for
mhm.
2 years. I feel like we have not had a dry week, a solid week of dry
Mhm.
since, I mean, for years. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. We had droughts a long time ago. I don't know I don't know what's happening. I don't get it.
It's climate change, y'all. No.
I mean, it probably is. But okay, well, let's move on to our, since now we're all of our anger is there. Let's soothe it with
Mhm,
some Hygge, some
mhm,
coziness and comfortable conviviality.
mhm.
I'll do mine first because I brought them.
Yeah.
I am a grown woman and I went to the Walgreens and I happened upon the Valentine aisle and I discovered Squishmallows.
Ooh.
Now, I don't typically buy stuffed animals. And I went over there and they looked so cute and I touched one. Girl, I bought two. Look, the first one I got is Stacy. Stacy's a little squid.
Mm-hmm.
She got all these little squid legs,
Oh.
and she came with a little tag. And Stacy is very nice, but she suffers from social anxiety.
Mm.
How cute is that? That these little squishmallows have little stories about
Mm-hmm.
their mental, their emotional states. And then my favorite, who I sleep with the most, I got Desmond, who's a little wingaling dragon. He's a green little dragon,
Aw.
and they're so squishy, and they
Mhm.
make me so happy because to go to bed at night and just squish your face down in one,
Mhm.
they're so comfy. And I don't have children, so this is a thing I had never noticed before. And
Mhm.
like I said, they look so cute, and I walk by and I'm like, those are cute. And then when I touched one, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
they feel amazing. They're so squishy and soft and smooth. So yeah, that's my comforting thing that I did. I bought some squishmallows to help get me through the pandemic and my
Mhm.
inability to hug others.
I love it. We have one that's like beanbag chair size, and I
Mm-hmm.
cozy right up in it during story time.
Oh,
He's a big dragon that's blue.
oh, how cute! They're
Yeah,
so cute. Oh yeah,
they're so.
Desmond cooks. That's what his little sheet said. Is that he
Mhm.
cooks for all his friends.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I'm spending way more money than I need to on these.
Mhm. I can't remember. I can't remember all their little stories because I try to keep the tag on so that I can go back and read them.
Mm-hmm.
But she like chews it off, and so
Yeah, well, yeah. No,
she's a
I get
kid.
that.
She doesn't care about the story. She just wants to squish down or
Right.
hide under it. Uh,
Oh, how cute!
it's so cute. But then you're like, where is my child?
She's under the squishmallow.
She's under the squishmallow.
Well,
I
so
love them.
what's your comforting thing?
Okay, so hold on. I also brought mine.
Okay, so this is why you got to get on the Patreon and get the video.
Yeah. All right. So this coffee
Ooh,
mug, I'm gonna
yeah, you
have
put
you
it in
like
front of
this.
you.
Okay, put it in front of me, or else it goes off into
It goes off into the
like it's
galaxy
just all-
behind you.
exactly. This is a East Fork mug. I've now gotten obsessed with this pottery. It's from Asheville, North Carolina.
Ooh,
They are a really sustainable business. They do equal pay. It's locally sourced clay, so this is North Carolina clay too.
how nice!
Um, and it just the feel of the mug, like we have this part that's not this part that's not glazed.
Yeah, no, it looks glamorous.
It's just
It feels
like
like it would just tactily, it would just be wonderful.
it's such a great time. I've decided that my entire like plates, bowls, cups, everything are going to be East Fork. I've been slowly buying them. They're not cheap,
Right.
because they do pay for the labor well, and like they support a black owned business every quarter that some of their profits go towards to
Oh,
like
I
helping
love
start
that.
up. Um, they do limited glazes, so that sometimes they get kind of hard. If you um they're really popular on Instagram too. There's like different trade places and like
Mm-hmm.
people just showing like pictures of their cute mugs in hashtag the mug.
Oh,
And so like
cute.
it's so I mean, I'm obsessed. My friend Holly, she got me one for my birthday like
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, and it was my favorite mug. Absolutely obsessed. And it's just now that I'm like, you know what? This is my favorite mug. This is the only mug I'm drinking out of. I have 20 other mugs. I went out and threw out like all my other mugs, bought 3 more of this one,
Yeah.
and I'm just like slowly accruing pottery so that I can then throw out all of our plates and then replace them with this nice stone, like very sturdy. Like Eris is already, or my oldest, it doesn't matter what her name is. She has already dropped one, and it like did not break. It
Oh,
was
wow.
fantastic. Yeah.
Did your
So
heart seize up when that happened? You're like,
yes, because they're really expensive. Honestly, I'm more worried that if she drops one of the little toddler cups, that it'll
mm-hmm.
break her toe. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that's a beautiful piece of art, and you deserve it, girl.
hmm
Treat yourself.
yes, that's exactly what I'm doing every month. Hundreds of dollars going to pottery.
Do it because it's a small business. It's ethically sourced, and we love that. Speaking of which, this is my mug. This is
hmm
the same mug I drink out of every single day and have since 2008.
Ooh, that's sustainable too.
Yeah, I'm very consistent. If anything happens to this mug, I'm gonna go into I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown. The other good thing is I drink my coffee black,
hmm
so I just rinse it out every night.
hmm
I
That's
don't
what I
wash
do.
this mug. I
hmm
don't think I think I maybe washed it with soap like 15 times in the course of 12 years,
hmm
13 years.
Wow.
Love it. I love it. Those are I need to get the link to their. Do they have a website?
They do. It's eastfork.com.
Okay.
I'll send you a link. And I
Yeah.
mean, oh man, you'll become obsessed. Like,
Well, so it's probably a good idea because I have a friend who collects Fiesta ware,
mhm,
and they came out this year with a color for Fiesta ware that was it's my sort of cobalt blue favorite
mhm.
color, and I was like, am I gonna have to buy a whole set of this Fiesta ware? But now this sounds better to me.
Mhm.
I might need to find a set.
Oh man, it's a
Awesome.
good time.
Also, I printed it out. I love the picture that you sent of your cereal bowl.
Right? It looks fancy as fuck, man.
Well, I printed it out in black and white, so
Oh, okay.
I won't show it. It does look fancy. I'll include that in the show notes
Yeah, go
too.
ahead.
It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this has been fun. We've been on here for like 8 hours.
8 hours. I've gotta pump my boobies. They're full of milk. They're huge. I'm naked. Y'all need to subscribe to the Patreon so you can see this.
I
Me and
love
my
it.
naked beauty.
So, as you say that, for exclusive access to Discord servers, video episodes, and curated content, and naked ladies, go to patreon.com/mating habits. You can email us at moderngeekcast@gmail.com, follow us on Twitter at mating habits, and subscribe to us. Go on our YouTube page and like some videos. And if you don't want to do any of that, don't want to leave us an iTunes review, I get it. It's a little bit of a hassle. Just tell a friend about the show. That's all you can do. This has been super fun. I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day to do such a thing. And I guess we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah. Take it easy. Bye.